everybody, Scout Crafty here again. It's Wednesday, and not only is it Wednesday, it's the last day of the month. So, in keeping with a newfound tradition, I'd like to go over some of the tools that we restored, see what kind of month we had, and then after that, I wanted to go over some viewer gifts that were sent into the show, and they're starting to pile up a little bit. I want to go through them, and that's about it. So let's get started right away. Okay, we started off the month with the wildly popular 50-50, the half and half tools, where we restored half the side of one tool and left the other one like this. Now, I know a lot of people weren't on board with this but this is something that's done when you like to restore tools, because like I told you, people come up and say, hey, what did it look like before? And now you have a visual representation right here, what it looked like before and after. So we did a couple, 3 of them, and you could blame 357 Magdad for some of this, but you could see here we did our 50-50 with the pliers, and I got to tell you something. I know it wasn't too popular with the viewers, but I really enjoyed these. I enjoyed doing them, and I enjoy having them just the way they are, because it is a before and after that you could see right there, especially for newer people that have never been introduced to tool restoration. So we started the month off with that. Then we did a few screwdrivers. We did this custom screwdriver. That was a very nice build here. After that, we did a beautiful Polish restoration for a Polish screwdriver. Isn't that a sweetheart looking screwdriver here? And we did this one up here and reprofiled the back a little bit. This is lovely, isn't it? And then we fabricated one, like we didn't have enough. And this has to be one of my personal all-time favorite projects that I made. I mean, we did this with that handle that was made from ash, and I just love that grain. And the color, with the, it was done with the gun stock, couple coats, because, ash doesn't really soak in the stain as much, but finish it up with shellac. Did the back here. Look at that. Isn't that just I love this thing. I'll tell you, I want to do another one in Phillips, but I didn't want to bore you as of yet. But this was really a nice build. Enjoyed the screwdrivers that we did this month. After that, we went into our plier kick for a little while, and we did these beautiful Kreuter World War I pliers, and we did it with the green, and a lot of people enjoyed that green in there, which I wasn't sure how you would take it. And this one, we didn't tackle this one yet, but this is the smaller version of the World War I pliers, and that was a fun project and very well received by you. Sticking with the plier theme, we did these Kreuters, these 1863. You see that there, 1863, these 9-inch, and these just came out absolutely lovely. What a beautiful pair of pliers these are. And this was a nice restoration. Very happy with Then I kind of introduced you to a 4-way lug nut speed wrenches that we cleaned up, and we did a nice cleanup on this one here. This rim wrench, 4-in-1 rim wrench, and it really is a beautiful tools, heavy duty, well made. I don't know how useful they are, but they were just a lot of fun to do. After that, we cleaned up a nice pair of WIS 908, which they call these high powers later on, but these came out real nice with the brass, and these are just a very, very comfortable pair, very nicely made, nicely designed. That was a fun project because Ben Mall started us off on that. We did a nice pair of can't slip pliers, and these came out beautiful with the new rivet, and these were really in rough shape, but came out absolutely beautiful. Everybody seemed to enjoy these. And then we finished off the month with a little bit of custom work. We did this was really a rusted mess. Remember what this looked like, the auto wrench, and we kind of custom, it was a little Resto mod, and then we finished it off with the Buck Rogers Resto mod Tomahawk. And believe it or not, this project here, this is just a nice tool, huh? And again, when you have a bunch of Resto mods together, they kind of go together, especially with the kind of unusual colors and the little bit of added holes and things. So when you put them on a board together, 5 or 6 or 7 of them, that's when it really, people say, wow, that's pretty cool. But, when you're putting them next to classic tools, they look a little out of place. But these were, I love doing those.
So all in all, I would say it was a pretty productive month. We got quite a bit of tools restored, and also we did cover some other subjects, different screwdrivers and things like that. And we had some discussions about lock washers, things like that. So it was a good month, right? And hopefully we'll try and keep that momentum going coming into April. April's always a good month. And but next up, I wanted to show you some of the viewers sent in some projects over the last few months. And like I said, I don't like to do it all the time, but, when they pile up, that's when we'll do it. And we're going to do it now. Let's get right to it.
Okay, let's get started. A couple months ago, I go out on my porch and I see this big box here, and it's from Uline. I'm like, wow, Uline, they make good stuff. I wonder what this is from. And wait a minute. What? Okay, what it was a good friend of the show for a long time, big supporter of the show, Dean Collins from Sapula, Oklahoma. He's the one that he volunteers in the heart of Route 66 Auto Museum, and again, he does restorations and maintains a lot of vehicles out there. And Dean's a great guy. But we did a storage thing I was talking about with some nuts and bolts, and Dean sent this in to me, and he sent a whole case of 12 of these. And you've seen these before. These are the bins. We're probably familiar, most of these, they're usually yellow. But Dean found them in Scout Crafter Red, and he said, oh, this be perfect. And it is. And these are great. The only thing is, I'm not going to put them down here in the shop until I get some kind of storage here, because there's a lot of dust that's generated in the shop, and these kind of collect the dust if you don't have them inside something. So I'm going to make a little cabinet that I can put stuff here. And what's nice is he also sent the dividers that go in that you can, divide them into 2. So if you got nuts, bolts, things like washers, things like that, and they're stackable, and there's a whole lot of things with these. They're practically unbreakable. We used to have them at work, and they got the little slots here. You could identify what they are. And Dean, thanks so much. It's really fantastic. But one thing I want to talk about Dean's museum, which is really interesting, because Dean, in his museum, the heart of Route 66 Auto Museum, in Sapula, Oklahoma, they have the world's largest gasoline pump. And let's talk about that. Now, the interesting thing about gasoline pumps, they go back to obviously the beginning with automobiles. Now, when automobiles first came out, we take it a lot for granted. That when they first came out, you had to go to like a pharmacy and get gasoline by the quart bottle or the gallon jug or a 5-gallon jug and fill it up that way. It was a real pain. And then they came out with gas stations and gas pumps, and the original gas pumps were just like the old-fashioned water pumps. You couldn't see what was going into your car, and people were a little bit skeptical. Well, somewhere around 1918, they developed this, what they call a visible gas pump. And these are the cat's pajamas of collectible gas pumps. These things go for thousands and thousands of dollars when you could find them. And what they are is they were a pump that had a glass top and a regular pump on the bottom. You would pump up the fuel into that reservoir on top, with 10 gallons, let's say. And then when somebody pulled in and said, fill her up, you would fill her up, it was already 10 gallons of gas in that visible glass, and you would just pump it gravity fed until it stopped. It took it, and then you would shut it off. And now if they took whatever's left, if there was 6 gallons they took, then they would show 4 gallons left on the glass, and you would charge them accordingly. I mean, just think of how cool that was and how simple, and what a great design. And then after that, they went to the, what we know now, we went to the gauges and things like that, where we have no idea how much gas we're getting. To this day, you don't know what you're getting in your tank. Once again, Dean, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I'll be putting these to use. Okay, next up, I got 2 beautiful items, some of my favorites from a good friend of the show by the name of Cynthia Berg. She's out of Raymond, New Hampshire. Cynthia sent in, look at these beautiful Kreuter, and you don't usually see these, but you look here, you see what it says? It says nickel dreadnought steel, and that's 2801, and the -6 is the 6-inch model. Look at the beautiful handle embellishments. Excuse me, you can see Kreuter written here, Kreuter USA, on both insides of the handles. These are just lovely, lovely pliers, and these will come out, I'm sure, pristine. And then, of course, my one of my favorite master locks, the number 77, because it has the lion head on here. We'll be doing this one very shortly because I got a couple things to do. I want to do this one up a little bit different, so look for that. And again, Cynthia, thanks so much. These are just absolutely beautiful. Okay, next up, a good friend of the show by the name of Joshua Galantine, and he's out of Staten, Oregon. And here's what's really cool about what Joshua sent in. Joshua, we were discussing, he sent in pictures. He told me he had an unusual pair of pliers that looks like it had replaceable jaws, but they somehow got missed or whatever. And if you remember, I am a collector of the Never Slip pliers with the replaceable jaws. I have a few pair of these, and I always pick them up when I see them. I think these things are the cat's pajamas, and this is something that is unusual. It has kind of a dovetail thing, so I want to see if I can make a pair of jaws for these, even if they're not hardened, but I just want to see if I can get these operating again. So he sent them, and then he also sent a couple of, he makes these, he's a craftsman, he does woodworking, and he made these great keychains out of paracord, which also can come in handy in a survival situation. Really cool, aren't they? I mean, and the braiding technique on there, outstanding. And then what was funny is I thought, because they smell real nice, I said, wow. I said, that's some cool soap, and actually it's beeswax, which is really cool. And you know, beeswax, how many times can you use beeswax in the shop for drill bits, things like that? So beeswax is something you can always use. So Joshua, thanks so much for that. All that will be coming in handy, and we're going to try and get to these when we get around to doing some of the other Never Slips that I have. Thanks again. Okay, next up, a friend of mine, Richard Kemp from Long Island. Richard is a member of the club that I belong to out there. And also, Richard has a collection of different tools and things like that. I think he has a couple of these. But this is a rivet cutter. And it's and you can see here, if you look closely, it's going to be a little difficult to see. It says H.K. Porter Incorporated. Do you see that? Let me see if I can get that. Yeah, H.K. Porter. And they were out of Boston, Massachusetts. And you can see it's a rivet shear. And this was marked U.S., so obviously it was meant for the military. Now, what happens is a lot of times when you're using rivets, you'll buy them in a specific length. There's no sense in trying to keep a stock of 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/8, 5/8, 7/8. So what you do is you buy 1.5 rivets like this. You know, this is obviously just a piece of cardboard just to test to show you. But you would buy the rivets like this, and now, you can see here it has a, in the back here, depending on what length you want, if you have a capped or dome rivet, you could put it over here that the dome rests on top of here, and that'll give you the correct length. But I'm just going to show you how that would work here. You open up the rivet cutter here, you open it up here, and it is a little bit stiff because that's the way it's got to be, very tight tolerances. Once it's open like this, you take the proper size that fits the rivet here, which would be this one here. Now, we have it set to this length. Now, you can see here it's conical, so if you had a flathead type rivet, you would put it in here, and it will give you the exact cut, and you could adjust these. You can put one less or one more of these leaves to make it different lengths. So let's say we have it all set at this. Once you set it up, you do this, then you close your rivet cutter like this, and it will shear it. Obviously, it's not going to really show any kind of resistance with this, but you can see what a nice clean cut that you get on the end there. It shears it right off, and there's the excess here, and then you would just take the excess out here. But you could see it's a beautiful tool, and I can't wait to use it. Can't wait to try it out. I got to get some solid rivets, and this is just beautiful. Thank you so much, Richard. I'm going to put this to good use. Okay, next up, good friend of the show. You all know him because I'm sure you subscribe to his channel, Resto Rob. Rob has been, as of late, he's been pretty popular here in the United States as far as tracking down hard and unusual tools, and he's been coming across a lot. He transformed his basement shop in the last year from an empty, it was absolutely empty, and now his shop is, it's like mine. It's just full of tools and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, Rob was watching one of the episodes, and he knows that, first of all, he knows I'm a big pencil freak, so he sent me all these nice pencils. And again, these are, you know, I could see here, at least two of them are California cedar. And you could tell California cedar, it's got a, you know, these are the ones you want to look for. These old advertising pencils. You see that? See that California cedar? And these things are beautiful. So it's always nice. You find them in a lot in advertising, pencils, things like that. So Rob, thanks for that. But he was watching an episode where I was talking about a lot of people love these green screwdrivers that I have. You know, everybody always comments. So, of course, Rob tracked down, and look at that. He got the matching straight. This was a Phillips, remember? He got the matching straight. I guess this came in a whole set. And look at the shape. It's in great shape. We didn't even do nothing to it yet. But you can see here the patent number 4967. And here it is. There's a writing on here, but it's a little hard to see. I don't know what that says on there. Maybe you could read it. I can't read it. It looks almost like Taiwan, but I don't see what it says. On this one, there's no marking on here. And that's why we were always wondering what it was. But it did have an all trade on the handle. You see there? All trade. So I don't know if this one had it and I missed it. But anyway, it is the matching set. Look at that. Beautiful. I'm going to clean this up. It's going to look like fantastic. Rob, thank you so much, buddy. Rob also happened to send in this cute little Handy Andy screwdriver. And that goes to my Handy Andy, you know the Handy Andy tool sets they used to make? How cool is that? Again, Rob, thanks. Next up, you know, good friend of the show for a long time, big supporter, Abe Elias from Canada. Canada's most famous knife maker and reviewer and author. And Abe has been a friend of the show for a long time, and we talk on the phone and whatnot. And Abe, we remembered I did an episode about Miller's Falls, and Abe's getting ready to move like I am. But Abe, like me, has a lot of stuff that he's got to get, you know, together before he, you know, but he's closer than I am, and he's been working on his house, and he came across this drill, and it's a Miller's Falls. You can see here Miller's Falls, and look at the lines of that drill. Is that beautiful? Look at the curve over here. It's so ergonomic. It's got this little notch in here that if you had to, you know, add some extra pressure to it, it's just a beautiful. It's got a nice Jacobs multi-craft chuck on there. And you know what's funny? I'm sure this drill has been operated for hundreds of hours, right? But look, check this out. Here we have, what, 50, 60-year-old drill, right? Look at it. And, you know, like I said, it's been operating. Now, check this out. If you might want to put your earplugs in, but you got to hear this. Ready? Absolutely beautiful. And look at that. All these years still operates like the day it was made. You can still use this. A lot of people never used a high-speed drill. You know, if you're using the battery drills, you don't understand that this is a whole different RPM. It behaves differently. And you got to be careful because you can do some damage to your drill bits because they do operate at a quick speed. However, if you're doing any kind of wire brushing or buffing or anything like that with a hand drill, this is what you need. You need that kind of speed. And look at here. Look at the cooling holes and look at these lines. You know they're begging for some Scout Crafter red in there, right? And polished up. We're going to be getting to this. Abe, thank you so much. Beautiful drill. Just love it. Next up, another friend of the show by the name of Brad Lung from Canada, up north. Brad contacted me a while ago. He said, I got these catalogs kicking around. Maybe you'd be interested. And of course, you know, these are reprints. This one's from 91. That one's from 89. But they're reprints of these old early 1900 catalogs. And they got so much valuable information in here. This one here has a lot of box rules in here. This one here it's Chapin Stevens Company out of Pine Meadow, Connecticut. And then, of course, Miller's Falls. You know how I'm a Miller's Falls fan. And this one here was a reprint from 1989. But it's a 1915 catalog, and I'm telling you, nobody did catalogs like Miller's Falls as far as they just, you know, and well, Bridgeport did some nice ones too, but I just love it. So those are great. But you know, when he said he was sending the cat, then he also sent a couple tools in, and this is what really got me. First of all, sent these ETF pliers here, these duckbill style pliers. We'll work on them, get them nice. But he sent me probably one of the nicest 4-inch crescent tool companies. This is the old ones from Jamestown, New York. You can see drop forged. And you could see the steel here. The new ones they make, there are nothing like these. And this is just, I mean, it's still operable. You know, still works. smooth. It needs a little bit of lubrication, needs a little bit of cleaning up, but this kind of steel was unmatched. And I don't know what year it was, but look at that. Look how clean it is. Just beautiful. The lettering, when you get it that small to be that clean, I love it. So, Brad, thanks so much for that. Okay, last up, I just want to tell you there's a good story associated with this. That's why I kind of waited to last. A good friend of the show by the name of David Murray. Okay, David was, had a family plumbing supply business. He worked in his whole life, right? And just recently, he, after taking it over for the last 15 years, he retired. And now he wants to enjoy himself in the shop. And he started looking around on YouTube and he found a couple how-to. He wants to do antiques. He built a nice shop and he started doing antiques. Then he came across our channel and us and now he's restoring tools. And let me show you the kind of work that David is doing. Check out this beautiful 1947 Wilton vise. Now, Wilton vices, they took a beating, and this one was made during the war, but look at what he did and what a beautiful job he did. And he did it in it's not a battleship gray, it's like a light gray, but doesn't that just look sharp? And he's got the original pipe jaws in it that are hard to come by, especially not all beer. He did a fantastic job. So, David, I'm really impressed with your work, but he said a friend of his grandfather, his friend's grandfather, was a bus mechanic or something, and they were getting rid of all kinds of stuff in the garage, and he says, do you want some tools? And you know me, I'm usually telling everybody, look, I'm kind of full up over here and stuff, but he said they were going to be thrown out. So I was like, okay, so he sent them at a great expense to send all these tools to me, which I do appreciate. And look at these tools, and there's some real gems in here. And David sent these over for the show, and also I'll probably be bringing these to Jack down to see if anybody can use some. But David was laughing because he grabbed some tools for him. He took some tools out for his friend that he thought might be something, and instead of seeing these get thrown out, he saved them by sending them to me. But isn't that always the case? There's always, when somebody passes away, something, people don't know the value of certain tools. And let me show you why. This might look like a hodgepodge of stuff, but there's some really beautiful gems in here. Like, for example, these snap-on valve adjusting tools, and there's two of them. And you could see here, these slip over the top, and you can adjust the valve. And these are well made, and they're beautiful tools. Snap-on again. Also, snap-on. It looks like a half-inch extension. Look at that, right? Half-inch extension. These snap-on tools are always, a breaker bar. I don't know who made this with snap-on. Snap-on breaker bar. You know how nice these clean up. I mean, I don't have to tell you. So it's always funny, like what you think when they're dirty. That's why I'm telling you, dirty tools, patina, it will not be kept. When you guys who like the patina, when you die, your wives are just going to throw this stuff out. They're going to say, I don't even want to touch it. Nobody wants to touch this. They're going to say, throw it out. And I know you're going to say, well, that's rust. It's not really patina. I don't care. When you show somebody something and it looks like this, they're going to trash it. They don't care that the fact that this is a Bonnie. You know what that means? Resto Rob. A Bonnie, he's the Bonnie guy. But, that's why I'm telling you, it's so difficult when it comes to your tools. They got to be in pristine condition. Once you have stuff like this, they'll throw it in a bucket or a box, and it's going to go out in the trash. It happens all the time. Anyway, David, there's some really interesting stuff here. Some specialty tools that I don't even know. I don't know what this looks like, a Schrader valve tool for a bus, because it's, I guess they use the bigger one. Look at that. Look at the size of that thing, huh? And it's made by Plum. Look at this. The screwdriver socket here. Again, Plum, the older one. He had good tools, whoever the grandfather was. Look at this one here. Right? You look at this, you say, that would go in the garbage, but it could be cleaned up, but it just takes time. So it kills us, right? To think that maybe one day our beloved tools will wind up in the trash because somebody didn't know any better. But David, thank you so much, and beautiful job on that vise. And this will all either be put to work by me or somebody can use it from the channel. So in closing, I know we always go a little bit long on these, but I just want to thank you very much, anybody that sent anything in. And I do appreciate it, really do. And I hope you all have a great day. Take care now. Bye-bye.